Welcome to our first ever edition of Face Off Radio versus TV. I'm Keith Osso from 700 ESPN and 1080 ESPN.
And I'm Ben Kaplan from the KXLY 4 TV Sports Department. You can see some of us get a little bit more dressed up and some of us don't for our day at work.
Radio people dress like normal people. If there's a camera around, the TV people have to put a suit and tie on, and we'll address the makeup situation.
And these guys walk around
later
with this.
Yeah, I
I
actually walk around in public with this.
He does. He's got a little holder for it, backpack and everything. Makes it pretty fancy.
We're going to just discuss some topics every week here on Face Off. We're probably not going to agree a lot, but when we do, that's okay. But we're going to bring up some topics that people are talking about, not only around our office, but probably yours as well. The first one this week, Ben, the NFL playoffs.
And I think everybody talking about this, just even still from last week's game, what impressed them most, and then, of course, who they're picking to represent each conference in the Super Bowl.
I think Tom Brady impressed a lot of people last week. Some people kind of forgot about old touchdown Tommy Brady with all the Tebow action out there. But Tebow going home, I was a little disappointed the way he lost. I didn't mind that he lost. I knew the Broncos weren't going to go to the Super Bowl, but I would have liked to have seen him go down in a bit of a closer game. It was unfortunate. What really surprised me last week, San Francisco coming from behind twice late to beat the New Orleans Saints, and they look like a pretty tough team. They're playing at home.
No, I agree with you, and San Francisco is definitely the surprise for me, most notably Alex Smith. The way he was able to lead the team down for those 2 touchdowns at the end of the game, the rushing touchdown he had, I mean, we all questioned whether or not he could do that as a quarterback, and he definitely proved that if he needs to, he could throw the team on his shoulders and get the job done. I was definitely impressed with that. Okay, your predictions for this upcoming week?
New England is going to win the Super Bowl, and they're going to do it against the Giants.
Wow, okay. I'm going to say San Francisco, partially because my parents are Niners fans, and I'm hoping for them. I'm pulling for them. But I'm going to say San Francisco beats the Giants, and I'm going to say New England beats the Ravens.
All right, a lot of attention at the end of last week. Michael Pineda traded from the Seattle Mariners to the New York Yankees. Now, they did get Jesus Montero back, a very good power-hitting young hitter. Probably not going to be a catcher long-term, but listed as a catcher. What are your thoughts on that trade?
Well, if you're going to give up a guy like Pineda, somebody who's proven that he'll be successful in this league with the stuff he's got, 23 years old this month, don't you have to get somebody who's a two-way player at least for him? I know the Mariners need a bat. Montero's listed as a can't-miss prospect, but he can't play a position. He does not have a position listed as a DH. And to me, if you're going to give up pitching, which is the hardest thing to get in this league, I really think that you need to get somebody who's more established and will give you something on both sides, not just with the bat.
It was a great trade for Seattle. They had a massive head wound called offensive problems. They solved part of their offensive problems. They also are stacked with pitching coming through the minor leagues. If you look at the top 20 prospects for the Seattle Mariners, #1 right now, Jesus Montero. He automatically went to the top of the list. 2, 3, 4, all starting pitchers. Danny Holtzen, the #2 overall pick last year. A guy named Taijuan Walker, you're going to want to keep your eye on him, an 18-year-old who's rated #8 all over all of baseball for right-handed pitching prospects. And then James Paxton. All of those guys are projected #1 or #2 starters in the next 3 to 4 years. That's why they're able to deal a guy like Pineda. That's why they had to make a trade like this.
Sure, projected, but Pineda's proven.
Yeah, he had a very terrible second half of the season last year.
His first as a rookie, you know, I mean, it's still, you know, he's proven on that level.
They lost with Felix and Pineda. They can continue to lose with Felix and Pineda because they can't hit the ball.
And Montero,
if you need a hitter, it's going to cost you somebody like Pineda.
288 batting average at AAA for Montero, a guy who can't play defense.
320 in the major leagues. Next up on the list, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They came home 1-1 on the road trip after getting pasted by St. Mary's. They did get a win against LMU, but can't be too confident right now, I think, if you're a Zag fan, thinking this is going to be a cakewalk.
Well, I thought they'd have trouble at St. Mary's. Just who is going to really step up for them when they needed it? At LMU, Elias Harris got that job done down the stretch, had a big game for them, helped the Zags to a victory they had to have. I think if you're Mark Few right now, though, you really have to, you know, this WCC is no cakewalk this year.
No.
It's not them and St. Mary's. I mean, you've got them, St. Mary's, BYU, LMU, San Francisco has a decent roster. I mean, this is going to be a tough one. And as we know, the Zags get everybody's best effort. And with a team that has a lot of inexperience on it, it'll be interesting to see what happens down the stretch and if they're able to go ahead and you know, produce another regular season championship.
Until proven otherwise right now, St. Mary's is the best team on the West Coast. Gonzaga has carried that mantle for a long time, but St. Mary's right now, after beating Gonzaga by 21 points, it's not that they beat Gonzaga, they beat them by 21 points and really kind of exposed some weaknesses for the Zags. Until further notice, St. Mary's is the best team on the West Coast. Now, the good news, Gonzaga gets another crack at them. They still get 2 cracks at BYU. They have a lot of chances to prove they're the best team, but as of right now, it's St. Mary's.
So does Gonzaga win the regular season title?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. I think St. Mary's, with what they've got, the experience. Dellavedova is a guy that, I mean, he just won't let that team lose. It's been pretty impressive.
Best moment of the weekend for me, Washington State at Washington. Anybody that listens to Patch and Lukens knows I love a good guy falling down. Ken Bone, the coach of the Cougars, had a kind of a little fun moment over the weekend trying to call timeout, and the sniper got him from the top deck, and down he goes.
The best part of it, though, he gets up, he's smiling about it, having a good time, and with the way the Cougs played in the second half going down the stretch, at least he was able to smile about something, because that wasn't pretty. But I'm sure you got a great laugh out of that.
Well, if the team's falling down, you might as well literally fall down. And good for Ken Bone to get up and realize what was going on. I expected him to get up in total coach mode, with the grumpy face. But he got up and realized what just happened, and of all places for you to fall down, at your rival's place at the University of Washington, down goes Ken Bone, and unfortunately, once again, down go the Cougars.
Watching that game, just real quick, I was just amazed by how much bigger the Huskies looked on the court than the Cougs. I mean, it's seemingly every single position. That's why the Cougs have struggled. I mean, you need to get out-rebounded. They had more offensive rebounds, the Huskies did, than the Cougs had rebounds total. That's going to be an issue, and unfortunately, Ken Bone falling down, I think that's just kind of what's going to happen for the Cougs the rest of the season.
But fun to watch.
Yes.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Face Off Radio versus TV. He's been Kaplan. I'm Keith Osso. We'll see you next week.